Babylon has fallen, that great city. Wait a minute. The scripture says that Babylon will fall due to fire, due to a war, utter destruction in one day. And that there be a call to come out of her lest you drink of the cup of wrath. So New York, the fall of New York City couldn't be the fall of Babylon. And it's also something that's been going on for 1400 years. Many civilizations have fallen to idiocy, or at least Islam. And New York City is it's not finished yet. So we know that the time is going to come, the appointed hour, when the queen of the great harlot that says she never suffer is destroyed in one day. That's yet to come. But what we do see is plain evidence that democracy doesn't work. We know that Marxism doesn't work. We know socialism doesn't work. Basically, every system of government of men, it only works when there's righteousness, when there's benevolence. We see like there was a time when there was a good king in Sweden and everybody was happy. When there's a benevolent king, you know, the land is blessed and the people are blessed. When the wicked rule, then all creation groans. And what we have here is, I've heard it said before, pure evidence that we need our king. We need Jesus. We need the Messiah. We need the coming of the King of Kings and Lord of Lords to reign over all the earth, for the removal of the curse, and that there be peace on earth, that men would no longer learn to wage war, that people won't study war anymore. But there's things that we could be doing to make things better. One, we could stop the intoxication that's making our whole civilization from idiocy from democracy to idiocy. Fluoridation lowers IQ, but so does getting hit upside the head, or drinking alcohol, or doing all kinds of different drugs, recreational drugs. Who invented that? Like, does anybody really have extra brains to spare? But one thing we know is that it's written there's going to be a fall of all the kingdoms of men and the rise of the everlasting kingdom. And so we know that in the last days there's not going to be Islam, because in the scripture we see the Antichrist coming. He's not going to be from Islam. And so I'm looking for a very quick turnaround. One of the tenets of Islam is to use deception. And so this guy running for mayor said he was going to lower the rent, lower taxes for the poor, increase taxes for the rich, and give the people free government services. Of course, Islam gained its wealth by killing and stealing the property or taxing people into utter destruction. So they've taxed whole civilizations into absolute abject poverty, and then took possession of the land. And people, of course, could know who can afford 85% taxation. So Islam obviously has a track record. Like in Iran, the guy said 1979 he promised democracy and gave him a dictatorship. Because in Islam, they voted for a caliph. They said, oh yes, they want a caliph. Well, caliph's a dictator. Well, now they know. After so many people have been killed and property stolen, people tortured, and madness goes on. But will this be allowed in New York City? Well, the United States Constitution clearly bans slavery, so I don't think we're going to have Sharia law in New York City. And there's talking of now, it's quite honestly, there's a talk about the man, they say, oh, he's a communist. Well, we know the forms of communists like in Russia and Cuba and everywhere, China, everywhere there's communism, the people are exploited. There's the ruling party that live like kings, which they are, and the ruled by, king by committee, and then everybody else is dirt poor and slaves, impoverished. But the truly, in all fairness, say that the only system that really works and truly is a system where you have a benevolent king. And that's one thing why Saudi Arabia, even though they're Muslim, they have a kingdom and with rulers that have been concerned about their brethren and have taken the wealth of the oil and distributed for the benefit of the people. And so they're considered more liberal. They're not really, they're not all that heavy into all the strict tenets of Islam, and they have the blessings of Abraham, sons of Ishmael, and I believe that there's going to be a turning from upholding this tourist attraction of Mecca to recognizing that the holy Mount Sinai is their national treasure. The wealth of their kingdom spiritually is that Jehovah spoke on top of this mountain and gave his covenant, and the fire of heaven was upon that mountain, and it's still charged to this day. The rock that split is right there in Saudi Arabia, so they have their national treasure that they don't need a fake tourist attractions to attract people to. But concerning this the complaint about communism, and actually communism, you might consider the Book of Acts the way that the people first came to the apostles was a form of communism, but the people were about righteousness, and the apostles didn't live like kings. They administered fairly to everyone as everyone had need, and everybody put everything together, and that was something that only lasted for a little while until that persecution, the people were scattered from Jerusalem. But it wasn't a system of exploitation. So that's the difference. Is that most of the communist reigns that we see are by wicked rulers who use their authority to exploit the people, and we've seen that over and over again. So obviously, I come to a conclusion that democracy, communism, socialism, none of these things really work for the good of the people. Only righteousness. And except the people turn to righteousness, they shall suffer. And where do we find the standard of righteousness? It is in the King of Righteousness. It is Jehovah. Yeshua HaMashiach is Jehovah, the Holy Redeemer, our Holy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. who laid down his life for our ransom, and after the third day rose from the dead and is crowned King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And he still heals, does miracles, speaks to his people, and very much alive and omnipotent, omnipresent. He is the King. And every society that turns to him is blessed.